Allegiance to our flag. Thank you for that. The minutes of the September meeting were distributed via email to all members and are, of course, part of our packet. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
A motion to approve?
Any second? Second. The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any comments, amendments, deletions, anything incorrect? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
Any contraries? Hearing none, the minutes are approved as submitted. We have a few announcements before the start of the meeting. First, I want to welcome Linda D. Shane. If I mispronounce that, please correct me. To our Board of Health. She is our newest member, and tonight is her first meeting. I'd like to ask Ms. Shane to say a few words about her background and her interest in joining this board.
Thank you very much. I've been a Radnor Township resident for the past 15 years, and I've been a nurse for more than 28 years in various different hospitals in the city, and I currently am a nurse at Bryn Mawr Hospital for the past 14 years. I'm a nurse educator there, and I bring a lot of experience, and I'm very excited to have this position and opportunity to serve on the board.
Well, thank you. And again, congratulations on your appointment and sincere welcome. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Leader to introduce we have two new Radnor High School interns. This is a continuation of a project that we've had over the last 3 years. This will, I think, be our 4th year. And unlike the previous 3 years, we're fortunate in that there was more interest, and that resulted in us having not one, but 2 student interns from Radnor High School. And I'd like Dr. Leader to introduce them. Thank you.
I think that was a fine introduction of our 2 students. Our 2 students, we have Joanne and Morgan. Joanne and Morgan, if you'd like to say a little bit about yourself, you push the button to talk, and maybe just a couple sentences about your time at Radnor High School and why this interested in you.
Hi, I'm Joan. I'm a 10th grader at Radnor High School, and I was very interested in joining the board to learn about all the ways that we can help the community become a healthier place.
I'm Morgan. I'm also a 10th grader at Radnor High School, and I joined the board as an intern because I was really interested in getting a part of the community and seeing how the Board of Health works.
Thank you, and welcome to you both as well. One of the things we've been delighted to do is to engage the interns in teen health issues and to develop a project that might run over the course of the next year, 2013 till June 2014. So I would expect that if the 2 of you haven't started thinking about that yet, that you will start thinking about that as well. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and this is an important thing. I think that Mr. Doling, who is in our TV studio, will be having the American Cancer Society website up on the screen, and I would encourage all who are viewing this program to log on to that website, and there's a lot of useful information for maintaining breast health on the American Cancer Society's website. At this point, Mr. Taltone, I will ask that we move your report to a later item on the agenda. We are joined this evening by Andrea Gilbert, the president of Bryn Mawr Hospital, and Lydia Hammer from Mainline Health, who are here to, as a follow-up to testimony that was offered last May and a meeting that was chaired by Elaine Schaefer, the president of the Radnor Township Board of Commissioners, that was held last June, I believe. And at that meeting, Ms. Schaefer asked Ms. Gilbert, and Ms. Gilbert agreed to return here and to provide us with an update. And I think, Ms. Gilbert, you're ready to do that, so please.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me just say that Linda Shaney is a star, and you all are just terrific to have selected her. And I don't know exactly, Linda, maybe did you say 15 years at Bryn Mawr? Just a real leader in emergency medicine, a skilled trainer and educator on our staff, and just a real go-to leader. So congratulations to all of you. So I thought I would read a statement, and then Lydia and I are available to answer questions. Dear Mr. Hazen and Mr. Zinkowski, we value the Radnor Township Board of Health's ongoing interest in the services provided to the community by Mainline Health and Bryn Mawr Hospital. In our last update to you, we explained that as a result of productive and insightful discussions with administrative and clinical leadership at Mainline Health, we made the decision to postpone any resolution regarding Bryn Mawr Hospital's cardiothoracic surgical program. This time will allow us to more fully evaluate our operational processes and systems of care delivery across the health system. As we have shared previously, the economics of healthcare are in profound transition. We must successfully adapt to the changes of healthcare reform while continuing to ensure the highest quality patient care to our communities. It is our responsibility to critically evaluate our service models and identify best practices to ensure we are providing a superior patient experience and the best resources to keep our community healthy. We received a question from the Township about an advertising campaign for the Lankenau Heart Institute, which is the brand name we have established for cardiovascular services for all of our campuses across Mainline Health. The decision to brand our services under this name stems from a long and deep history of cardiovascular excellence associated with the Lankenau name. We are excited for this opportunity to grow our reputation and care for more patients with heart disease from across the region. Mainline Health is intensely committed to positioning ourselves to thrive with the new framework of healthcare reform. As always, our patients and communities will remain at the center of our business planning and decisions. As we continue to critically evaluate our challenges and opportunities across the system, we look forward to a continued dialogue with Township leaders. Sincerely, Jack Lynch and Andrea Gilbert.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Gilbert or Ms. Hammer? Do you have anything to add to that? Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Gilbert? Ms. McCarthy?
Thank you so much for coming and giving us the update. I have seen the commercials, morning, 11 o'clock news, really a nice chance for you to give Lankenau Hospital exposure and develop its reputation in the health. But it was focusing on, but this is phase one, I understand. And then there's a phase two.
Right.
Am I correct in knowing that there's a phase two that will then showcase Bryn Mawr Hospital's health area, or what?
Okay, so I'm going to actually let Lydia kind of plan, to get into some details. I will tell you that it's at least a two-phase campaign. We are rolling out this brand, the name of Lankenau Heart Institute, to reflect the brand of cardiovascular care across our mainline health system, and then and that's really to establish that fact. And then we plan to then use other phases of the campaign. I think it's probably in the winter, February, to begin to outline what those services are and that they are available across our health system, Bryn Mawr included. So let me ask Lydia.
Happy to do that. Although everybody associates the word Lankenau with Lankenau Medical Center, this campaign does not specifically try to drive business specifically to Lankenau Medical Center. It's an awareness campaign to introduce a new brand to the community. The brand is, we are calling it the Lankenau Heart Institute, and we are going to be using that brand, as Andy said, to describe our cardiovascular offerings at many locations, not just at Lankenau Medical Center. We've taken advantage of the asset that exists within the Lankenau name as one that reflects very high-quality cardiovascular care. As a result of much market research, looking at outcome statistics from Medicare and other third-party regulators and authorities, and looking at the capabilities that have been built by Lankenau Medical Center around cardiovascular care, we believed that by using that name, it gave us an opportunity to build on that and to have the community associate the word Lankenau with excellence in cardiovascular services. So this is an awareness campaign to introduce the brand Lankenau Heart Institute. When we come back to the television, to the media market in early winter, January or February, our messaging then will be that the Lankenau Heart Institute brand, once we establish what it is available at multiple sites, including our other hospital campuses.
Thank you. And one last follow-up question. I have seen these commercials on TV. Are they in print as well? Inquirer, Suburban?
Actually, we did not go with a print campaign, although just last week we decided we might run some pieces just in the mainline Times. And to be honest, that was because our competitor institutions from downtown and other community hospitals are very aggressively advertising in that particular magazine. So we did not want to miss that. But our media buy focused on television, which is an important tool to communicate a new brand to a very broad audience. We are on Pandora Radio. We have bought digital space on websites where people look for information about healthcare. So WebMD, a lot of the news stations online, abc.com. We also have developed very deep narrative on our webpage about not just the Lankenau Heart Institute, but how we as a system care for people with different diseases that are within that cardiovascular arena. So we are very much speaking to people about the issues that they have, whether it's arrhythmia, whether it's heart failure, whether it's a valve problem. And we've put a lot of our time and effort into driving people to the website. We also have ads at 30th Street Station, on the R5 regional rail line, and some bus wraps as well. So and there is one billboard on Green Lane in Manioc that's carrying the message.
I thank you both for coming. And when you roll out your Bryn Mawr Phase 2, would there be ever a comparison as to what gets done at what can get done at Lankenau and what can get done at Bryn Mawr? Or should we tell our community, if they should ask one of us, what gets done at Bryn Mawr heart-wise? Because at this point, am I hearing you say that you can get everything done everywhere still?
Yeah, let me operationally answer that question. I think the real question was open heart surgery, and that service continues at all of our three, what we call legacy hospitals, Lankenau, Bryn Mawr, and Paoli Hospital. It has never been part of the Riddle Hospital portfolio. And as we indicated, there are currently differences in what happens. So it's really hard for us, and we would never try to say that, you can have everything done at every hospital. We don't do robotic heart surgery anywhere but Lankenau. And there's certainly the TAVR, which is a very sophisticated percutaneous heart valve procedure is only done at Lankenau. So we don't go to those lengths currently in a public, advertising way. We certainly do that through our medical staff process and in smaller venues to ensure that our community is as well versed in some of those. And as we evolve our programs over time, and we invariably will, and as you know, we will continue to look at the heart surgery program overall in terms of best approach, best resources, best outcomes. This is an issue that we'll take on over time when we get further down the road.
Any other questions? Let me ask one question for future follow-up. The decision that was postponed to the summer of 2014, where, I guess the timeline is evolving on that, and the decision-making process that goes along with that. May I ask if it's possible for both of you to return here sometime in the spring of 2014 and just to give the community a further update, because that will bring us close
Sure.
to your decision?
By all means, and again, we can have a continuing dialogue over
Of
time,
course.
but for sure, it's a very important issue. It's an important issue for all of us, and I think what we said is we would postpone it until then. We may not feel ready to address it then either, but again, I think there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle as this delivery system gets gelled and sorted out, and I think, as I indicated, this may not be the only issue that this community faces in terms of how best to organize healthcare for the community in an era of absolutely critically shrinking resources. So we want to make sure we do the best job and the deepest job, and so I think it's an ongoing conversation. We'd be happy to come back.
Thank you.
Sure.
We'll return now to our agenda, and I'll ask Mr. Taltone to deliver his report.
Good afternoon to the board members, and I also welcome Ms. Linda Shane to the board and our 2 interns. Thank you. For the month of September, I guess my report is pretty boring by comparison to that information regarding mainline health, but we did 25 food safety inspections, 7 bathing place, and we had 7 quality of life issues that we had to deal with. I attended several training sessions and meetings, and in your packet you'll find your agenda, minutes from the Board of Health from last month, this month's report, Governor Tom Corbett's Healthy PA Plan, some information regarding this year's 2013 West Nile virus. There was 2 positive cases in Delaware County this year. 2 positive cases. We had the Radnor Township Health and Safety Fair, which was September the 18th, here in this room. We had probably 20 vendors for various. We did blood pressure screening and various things. Actually, our Board of Health actually had a table with some various information on it. We also have, and this is pretty important, the Wellness on Wheels, Ask the Doctor. The Delaware County van partnered with Blue Cross will be here on October the 25th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, right out in the parking lot. So residents should come out and get some good wellness information. Dr. George Avidian, the county health advisor, will be here. On October the 4th, at Tenneco Fire Company, we meaning the Pennsylvania Department of Health, Delaware County Office, Intercommunity Health, and local health officials were able to administer 5 flu shots for this year. Also, October the 26th will be National Take Back Day again. That's done twice a year. Radnor Township is a participant in that. Also, if you look on the last insert in your packet, Radnor Township has a drop box that residents can get rid of old drugs, expired drugs, drugs that they're not using, that they don't need anymore. You can do it legally, without any questions. You can bring them in, put them in the drop box. That's access through the police department down the lower level. Mr. Chairman, Board, so ends my report.
A couple of things, just to provide additional information with regard to the wellness van, the Independence Blue Cross van. Residents who come here on Friday, October 25th, between 9 a.m. and 12 noon, and by here I mean the Radnor Township Municipal Building at 301 Ivan Avenue in Wayne, PA 19087, will have an opportunity to ask the doctor being Dr. George Avedian, who is the Delaware County Senior Medical Advisor to the Delaware County Council. The drop box, the permanent drop box, is also here at 301 Ivan Avenue at the Township Municipal Building. The ground level of the municipal building, located at the bottom of the stairs next to a vending machine. So I'm sure there will be staff here happy to direct residents who come to drop off unused and expired pharmaceutical controlled substances. Mr. Taltone, in addition, I believe you attended a meeting on Friday with your counterparts, the other municipal health officers. Would you care to tell us about that meeting?
Yeah, that's a meeting of the Delaware County Local Boards of Health. And basically what happens at that meeting is Dr. Avedian pretty much gives us an update of pretty much the same update that they give at the county level. And we talked about the West Nile virus program, how successful it was, and that we'll have to be more involved on the local level because of shortage of funding. We talked about the flu shot drive-through clinic and moving forward with that in future years. We also talked about the wellness van coming to Radnor, but it's pretty much a synopsis of what they do at the county meeting.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Taltone about his report? Okay, we'll move on to old business. Dr. Donato, do you have anything to add to last month's discussion of the township problem with geese?
From last time, I've done a little bit more research into public health aspects, environmental aspects of the geese, and it's challenging to find anything related to a public health issue other than the feces and salmonella that's left behind by geese. And while that's a big one, why I say it's a challenge is because when you go to look for actual cases of people who've had issues, it starts to become that's where the challenge starts. And it's very difficult for anybody to link it right back to the geese. So, and that not only goes for Radnor, but for other places as well. And you'll find a random report here and there. So from a public health standpoint, while we know that feces is not great to come in contact with on the sports fields, it's not like we're seeing a rash of high school, middle school students that are going to their doctors with salmonella that are a particular type related to geese. So while we know logically it makes sense it can happen, we're just not really seeing it documented. From an environmental standpoint, it doesn't seem that the geese destroy the environment. They do stick to feeding on the grass that is available, and they don't seem to overbrowse like deer might. So from that standpoint, it doesn't seem as if they're much of an environmental threat. They don't squeeze out other species because most other species are, either in the trees and are not ground dwellers for the most part. So that was another aspect that, we decided to take a peek at. That's the main discussion there. And if it's coming from a nuisance standpoint, that, obviously is up to each individual. But if we're going to plan on managing the geese, one of the things that happens is that once you've managed a population, and there's a number of different ways of doing that, which we can talk about, but the thing that keeps the flocks coming back, the groups from coming back to an area, is when people will initially feed them. And so one of the things that's important here is the education of not feeding the geese. So, one of the reasons they're attracted to the sports fields and to the willows is because there's a lot of people there, and they're feeding them. And that keeps the flock stable there. So one of the big things is no matter what we eventually end up deciding, we got to stop the process and not have feeding occur, and it doesn't have to happen all that much for geese to realize that it's comfortable there and they're going to stay. So that was the one bit of research that seemed to hold true throughout every report, was generally it started by feeding. So then we have to come back to, well, how do we manage this? And at one point, the township did hire somebody with dogs to help take care of the geese, so they would make the environment uncomfortable or undesirable for them. And what was happening was it made it uncomfortable and undesirable for the geese for about 5 minutes, and then they immediately, as the person would get in their truck to go, then the geese would kind of swarm back. So getting rid of them is a challenge. There's also been some studies that showed where they were picked up and transported to other areas, and they came right back to that spot, and it could even be like a state away. So it was, it's a challenge to deal with the geese from what I'm reading. And from a public health standpoint, again, I'm not saying that it's not possible. It just, for salmonella to be transmitted or other diseases, it's so hard to find the reports to say so. That pretty much sums it up.
Any questions for Dr. Donato? With regard to the issue of people feeding the geese, which of course, as you've mentioned, makes it nice for the geese, and they'll want to keep on coming back to those locations. Is there any indication, and do we know of any communities outside of Radnor that have tried signs to ask people not to feed the geese?
Again, I don't have anything specific, but in the research it does seem that signage helps minimize the feeding. But, for that person that doesn't pay attention to the signs, the geese get rewarded every now and again, which is the best way to reinforce behavior. So to me, this seems like an education issue, that if the geese are bothering people on the sports fields, I do suggest that signage be part of it, and suggest that we do put something on the scroll that says we want to keep our sports fields as clean as we can. Let's minimize the feeding of the geese, and that seems to be at least, the best that I think can be done for sure.
Any other comments or questions? Now, Amy Wishner, who is not with us this evening, was part of the, as well as you, the subcommittee. Do you have enough to do as we did with the desire of some residents to keep chickens in their backyards and coops, to put together a one-pager that might include two important things: what we know about possible health issues, as well as a remedy that might work. In the majority of cases, people do obey signs. We have a lot of signs on the playing fields that tell people that dogs are not allowed, and you seldom see dogs on those playing fields. So it'll help somewhat, I believe.
We can get something together for the next meeting, sure.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. Would we want to make a recommendation to the commissioners at some point in time to have that signage, and maybe somehow take that recommendation to the school board for the playing fields?
Yeah, that's a
People bring
good
food
point.
into the playing fields, and, garbage is left behind sometimes, and then the geese love it. So,
That's a good point. The township isn't the only proprietor of playing fields, so we would have to, Mr. Kane, liaise with the school board on that. And I would anticipate that the one-pager that Dr. Donato will have for our next meeting would, after we approve it, either by vote or consensus, send it on to the commissioners and to the school board as well. Thank you. The other item on old business is something I alluded to earlier: teen health issues. And Joan and Morgan, I would ask that perhaps for our November meeting, which will be November 11th at 5:00 p.m. in this room, that perhaps you could come up with a rough list of possible projects for the next several months that you could work on. Not that you'd work on all of them, but we would have to pick and choose. And Dr. Leader and Ms. McCarthy, whom you both know, and Mr. Kane, who is Director of Student Services for the Radnor Township School District and liaises to this board on behalf of the school district, are probably good resources for you to contact. So,
Herb, do the students have access to our email addresses as well to help if they have any questions about projects from a different point of view, whether it's from medicine or veterinary or public health?
that's also a good point, and I'll ask Mr. Taltone to see that they have that information. Thank you. Any other old business? Any new business?
I don't have new business, but I have a question. Do we know the current status on the chickens?
No, I do not. The indication I have is that our recommendations were passed on to the Director of Community Development. Mr. Taltone, do you have, Mr. Kachansky is the Director of Community Development.
He is, and he has not gotten back with me on it.
Okay, that was the direction we were given when we made our recommendations, was to, by the Township Commissioners, was to pass them on to Mr. Kachansky, the Director of Community Development, to whom Mr. Taltone reports. And
Do we know if there have been any applications made since the report?
I do not believe there has been.
I actually just have, I was going to say, is this supposed to go to the Board of Commissioners to be a part of an ordinance? Or is it, like, I guess that's what the usual process is, so I guess I don't understand.
Yeah, I think the reason it was sent on to Mr. Kachansky was because there are other boards or commissions in the township that the commissioners wanted to have provide inputs into the decision-making process. I'm not altogether certain, but for some reason, the Planning Commission is in my mind as one of those bodies.
It would probably also include the zoning board, zoning hearing board, I would think. I mean, that's the usual process for this.
Yeah, that's the other one. And getting back to the geese issue, the Environmental Advisory Council was also asked to make their own recommendations. Have you had any contact with them?
Yeah, we've been in touch, and they're, again, just looking at environmental aspects of the geese's presence, and no, I haven't gotten any new information yet from them.
Okay, it might be a good idea, once you've developed the one-pager, to send that by Josh Hilbert, who chairs the EAC, and see if they want to make any comments before our next meeting. Thank you.
So seeing that we seem to have hit a black hole on the chickens, and that we don't waste our time in drafting ordinances and having subcommittee meetings, what should we do next?
Well, I can ask Mr. Taltone to find out what Mr. Kachansky has done with our recommendations. And if there's any contact that I need to make with the zoning board or the planning folks, to let me know.
I'll give you an update tomorrow.
Thank you. Bear in mind, we did not draft an ordinance. We just drafted a position paper. Yeah. Any other?
The Alliance for Safe Kids under Teen Health Issues, I believe they met this week. They didn't, I did not receive an email. I talked to Captain Block. He did not attend either. So I believe they changed the time to 7:45 to 8:15 in the mornings. And I believe, Dr. Leader and I were speaking, that the next meeting is in January. So we can worry about it then, but it would be nice if somehow we got the minutes, and I have not found them.
Yeah, thank you for bringing the Alliance for Safe Kids up, and for continuing to represent this board at their meetings. Usually they have two programs every year, one in the fall and one in the spring. Do you know if one is being planned for this fall?
I believe it's either this week or next week. I don't know. I have not received any information from them, but things have been in the paper that I believe it is.
Do you know the topic? Okay. Mr. Kane.
Well, this isn't being provided through Ask, but the school district is providing a parent training next week titled "Keeping Your Kids Safe," and Andy Block and our student assistance program provider, Karen Foundation, is going to be talking about drug and alcohol issues, particular to what they're seeing here in Radnor. So that is, let me look up. It's next week on Tuesday. It's at the high school from 7 to 8:30. So that's a topic that the school district is
That
hosting
would be the evening.
in the evening.
Thank you. That's an important topic, and I hope that the school district is sending out a lot of information to parents so that all those who can and do come out to the meeting.
Yeah, we sent it out through our, it's been weekly sent out through our e-minders, which is our way to approach our parents. And then there also was an advertisement in the mainlinemedia.com. I saw it last week.
Thank you.
Just one other announcement. The CDC came out with the report today that flu activity across the country is very light, so it's very early in the season. But I do encourage all people 6 months and above to get their flu vaccine now while it's still late in the season and we can prevent further cases.
And thank you for bringing that important issue up. I would ask you and anyone else who has information, there have been some comments by people in the media. I don't know whether, I don't recall now whether it's their medical reporters or not, and each station has a medical reporter, to the effect that it's too early to get the flu shot, that when flu season really gets in full swing. I see some people shaking their heads, which is what I did, but I'd like to dispel that myth, because, and please tell us that information is flat out wrong.
Yeah, that's incorrect. The flu vaccine should be given when it's obtainable at any point.
And the effect of that lasts for how long?
That's debatable too, but for younger people, healthy immune systems, the immunity should last for the season. There's some information that's not exactly clear yet about elderly people and how much immunity they continue to keep through the flu season. There is a higher dose vaccine available for, I think it's for people over 65, that has more antibodies or antigens in it that helps to protect them for longer. So either way, the safest thing to do is get the vaccine and get it soon.
Any other comments on that?
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate the importance of getting the flu vaccine as early in the season as possible. The flu vaccine is designed to last throughout the season. The problem with waiting is that you don't know when the flu season will hit hard, and it does take several weeks for the vaccine to work in our immune system. So getting it earlier is always advisable.
Thank you both. Any new business, other new business? Hearing none, any public participation? There's only one person out there. All right, the next meeting of this board is scheduled for Monday, November 11th, 2013, at 5:00 p.m. in the Radnor Shire Room of the Township Administration Building, 301 Ivan Avenue. The meeting stands adjourned.